What is up guys, Wraec is here with a new video, and today I want to take a little look at CC, talk about a few CCs. In the background actually we see the current top CC hero TBB dashing out some big CC with some fear here as well. Now a Seal of Light, good fight here to show some CC actually. And the thing is, people talk about TBB a lot and say, well, she's the best CC hero in the game. And I would say, yeah, that's right. She's the best CC hero as a whole package. You get multiple active skills. You get easy ways to CC. You have a core that makes it super easy for you to CC the entire enemy team. You get energy drain on anybody that you CC. It's actually quite insane. So one thing that I have to say though, she doesn't have the best CC in the game. She's the best CC hero, but she doesn't have the best CC. So why is that? Why does the best CC hero not have the best CC? And what even is the best CC? Well, for that, let's take a little look at what the CC of TBB actually does. It is a transcendence version of a CC, meaning some heroes in the game, transcendence heroes that is, of course, take a base version of CC, and then they get their special transcendence version of that. And the special transcendence version has all the effects of the base version and then gets something added on top. We have this, for example, here for TBB. Bloodbinding Twine. First, it does everything that Twine does. Targets with Bloodbinding are unable to release their basic attacks, extra attacks, or counter attacks. Wrong description, by the way. It's lacking active skills. Active skills are also blocked by Bloodbinding. And then we have an extra that is the Transcendence effect, basically. At the end of each round, the Inflictor bleeds the target, dealing 800% of attack damage for 2 rounds. And we see similar things, similar Transcendence versions of CC on multiple heroes. Farrakeen Vessa, Silence Gag Order. We have it on LFA, we have it on Starwinger. It doesn't mean that every Transcendence hero has to inflict a certain Transcendence version of CC. LOS doesn't, that is just a base CC. The core of HHA doesn't inflict the Transcendence version of Taunt. It inflicts the base version. Mockman actually has a Transcendence version of Taunt, so it does exist and he inflicts it. So it is a little bit complicated. Now the thing is, what makes a CC good is really what it can block. The more things a CC blocks, the more devastating it is for an opponent to be inflicted with it. And we already saw what TBB can block with her CC. We have basic attacks, active skills, extra attacks, and counter attacks. It is a little bit unclear what falls under extra attacks and counter attacks. Counter attacks by SFX might just be blocked or might not be blocked. Is it from Sigmund? It is all a bit unclear at this point, and we don't really want to shed too much light into it today, actually. That would be a very long list to test all of this out. What we want to take a look at, though, is one specific example. And that is that people used TBB and then noticed, well, I fought this stage, Sherlock and Holmes Young. 3 Sherlock, 3 Holmes Young. One of the most common, most devastating stages in Void Campaign. And the Holmes Young, I couldn't see the Sherlock, he continued to attack. And the Holmes Young still threw potions at me. And they say, well, I had my Bloodbinding CC on him, and isn't that an extra attack? And actually some things in the game, this is the passive that we're talking about. Whenever an ally releases basic attacks, poisons 1 random enemy, and then if it's an active attack, then we poison 3 random enemies and deal some damage. There is actually difference there. This is considered a passive skill. It is not considered an extra attack or a counter attack. It is considered just a passive skill. So every time one ally of Holmes Young acts, does an active skill or a basic attack, his passive skill triggers and throws potions. So what you have to do, you would have to block passive skills. And there are CCs that actually do that. One of the most common or the more recently released heroes that can block passive skills is actually Lord of Sparkles Yorum 2. He has the CC we already talked about for a second, Seal of Light control effect. Heroes inflicted with Seal of Light cannot trigger their passive skills. It's actually a base CC, it's not a Transcendence version of any CC, and what this does is it blocks passive skills. It doesn't block active skills, it doesn't block basic attacks, it just blocks passive skills. So In fact, this Seal of Light would block Holmes-Young from throwing potions. If Holmes-Young was inflicted with Seal of Light, he would stop throwing potions and actually you wouldn't then die to them, of course. Now, Your Tomb isn't really the best hero to inflict CC. What makes TBB good, that she can hit the whole enemy team, can inflict whole teams with her CC. Your Tomb really can't do that until he's D6. At D6 he becomes a little bit better at inflicting his CC, but still not even close to the capabilities of a TBB. So, are there heroes or is there a CC that can be inflicted to the full whole enemy team and can block passive skills? Yeah, there's actually another CC, one single other CC that can block passive skills. And that CC is also on Holmes-Young, the hero that we're trying to block. It's Shapeshifting. Shapeshifting is the strongest CC there is in the game. What it does is it turns the target into a dove, and shapeshifted targets cannot make any moves nor trigger passive skills. Not make any moves includes everything. No counter attacks, no extra attacks, no basic attacks, no active skills, and no passive skills. They are essentially useless. They can't do anything. And there is a little downside. After receiving 6 active skill attacks or basic attacks, the target will get 3 from shapeshifting. So even without control purify, after receiving 6 hits, the target will break out from the shapeshifting effect. 6 is quite a lot though. That basically means your entire team can go 1 round attacking the hero, and only after all of them attacked, the hero will break out. So it is still not that easy to get rid of it. Most of the time you will get rid of it by using control purify. So it is quite clear why this is the best CC. It blocks everything. The more a CC blocks, the better it is essentially. A counter side to that, we have this little downside that doesn't really actually change anything with that. It was, by the way, little talk from the past, it was actually stronger when it was released. Shapeshifting used to block, well, all passive skills and control purify, or at that time it was only purify. The difference between the control purify and all of the other stuff, we didn't have 4 purifies. We had 1 purify that could purify all of those, but would only select one of those effects at random. That couldn't purify shapeshifting actually, because actually this purify was then blocked by, well, shapeshifting. Shapeshifting blocked the passive skill, so the passive skill of control purify couldn't purify shapeshifting. Which is a little bit weird to say it like that. But that actually meant that if your hero didn't get hit 6 times, it would never break out. You couldn't purify it, your hero would be stuck. And it actually happened that your main damage dealer got inflicted with Dove, because at that time we had Holmes-Young, and actually another hero that can inflict Dove, or shapeshifting, Sherlock, was also quite common. So we had 2 heroes in the meta that would inflict shapeshifting. So it could really happen that your main damage dealer was gone for like the rest of the fight until he died. Quite horrible indeed. Nowadays, DH actually doesn't seem to want to release any more shapeshifting heroes. We haven't seen one for quite some time. You would think that, well, Holmes-Young, as he's the base version, his Transcendence version might do something like that. But even after the release, they kind of realized that Dove would be a bit overpowered on a Transcendence hero. They gave him a Perceptual Disorder, a completely different effect that doesn't block passive skills. Still quite good, but doesn't block passive skills. And at that time, people said like the base version of Holmes-Young would actually be better than the Star Alchemist Holmes-Young. Later on, that quickly showed that actually Holmes-Young, Star Alchemist Holmes-Young can be quite great. Nowadays, he's one of the greatest PvP heroes, so indeed quite a good one, but he can't Dove. And we've never seen a Transcendence hero that can do so. So Dove is actually an effect that was never before used in Void Campaign, and we're to this day waiting for a way to actually do this. The only way that you can currently block passive skills in there is with Seal of Light. Seal of Light is the only effect that can do that, and Dove is still not available there. So how can you make use of Dove nowadays? Well, there is still a good reason to build a Holmes-Young, or even build 2. And that reason at the moment is actually Star Expedition. Star Expedition areas 8 and 9 feature horribly strong opponents. Very strong opponents with a lot of HP that can delete your team in a single swipe. The most horrible enemies in there are Valkyr and Gustin. And if we take a look at those two heroes, we actually see one of them, Gustin, has Link of Souls. Link of Souls means he links to one of your heroes at the start of the battle, and then every time he takes damage, he will reflect part of this damage to the hero he's linked with. This can quickly take out your damage dealer, this can quickly take out your entire team if you're not careful. So, but one thing we note, it's a passive skill. So, Holmesyoung, if he doves Gustin, will actually disable that. And as long as Gustin is doved, this link will not transfer any damage or reflect any damage back to your team. So, you can basically make Gustin useless by just running 1 or 2, I would recommend 2, Holmesyoung in your team. And another hero that is also quite devastating because, well, against Gustin you can still use CC, it will work out to an extent, it will still reflect, but you can CC the enemy team and at least not take damage from the rest. This doesn't work against the next hero on our list, and that is Valkyr. Valkyr is actually one of the heroes that punishes you for CCing her. And that is also a passive skill, and it says when controlled, restores self HP by 200 of attack per round for 3 rounds, and burns 3 random enemies, dealing 3% of Valkyr's max HP. A passive that really doesn't sound threatening at all if you look at it, but 3% of Valkyr's max HP is, yeah, well, if you fight her as an opponent in PvE, that is quite a lot. So it is quite threatening indeed. And again, a passive skill, so we can control her with Dove, without fearing this passive skill because it won't trigger. Because she is doved, so when she's doved there are no longer passive skills, so this passive skill can't trigger because it can never check that she's controlled. Because this control effect actually blocks it from triggering, which is a weird thing to say again. But you can also disable Valkyrie. And it is quite useful for Star Expedition. So maybe take that with you. Wait for the moment that we get a Transcendence hero that can actually that can actually dove, and this day will probably break the entire Void campaign and will clear everything in there, because even the most difficult stages, 632 I think it was, I made the video about it for the members, the stage that people were stuck at for ages, even this wave would have been ridiculously easy if we could use a hero that can shapeshift in there. So at this point, you know, when you see shapeshifting on a Transcendence hero, well, that is impressively OP. Until then, well, I hope I at least gave you some insight on how to value your CC. The more it blocks, the better it is. And sometimes extra effects, like such fear, for example, blocking your enemies from critting, they can also be quite good. But in general, the more it blocks, and if it blocks passive skills, that is extremely valuable. And you will see that your heroes will perform quite well. With a great CC supporting them. So, other than that, I wish you a great day. We'll see us in the next one.